Alright, hello guys. Today we're going to be talking about our next snowstorm for the Rockies and portions of the Midwest as well, in all of those central United States and Great Lakes regions alike. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you dig weather-related content, and also make sure to check out the links in the description for our social medias. Now let's look at your current watches, warnings, and advisories here. So we have some of those winter weather advisories there, some for Oregon, some for California. They're mostly for Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah there, though. We do have plenty of winter weather advisories, and a lot of those areas in Montana is where we're expecting to see 3 to 6 inches there outside of the Rockies. But in the Rockies, we're expecting to see potentially 6 to 10 inches in some of those regions that have winter weather advisories. Particularly in Wyoming, we have a winter storm warning there in that pink region in the very western regions of Wyoming, and that's where we're expecting to see probably closer to 10 inches at least. That's probably what they are expecting as they give that area a winter storm warning. Now, we're going to look a little bit ahead at our future cast radar. We're going to be using the GFS in this video because I think it has a pretty good grip on what it thinks is going to happen with this storm. We see not a lot going on besides some rain for the west coast there for Oregon, Washington, and California. Some snowfall there for the mountains of California as well, but mostly snow going on for Idaho and Montana by this point. Let's move on one frame, and you can see we finally have our low pressure system developing just to the north of Idaho and Montana there in Canada, and we have snow heading down for Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana by this point. Now we're about to move on to where we start to see a clipper system develop for some of the north central and northwestern United States. As you can see here, by Sunday evening, we finally have all of those previous frames were in the day today and in the morning tomorrow, but we actually have by Sunday, December 8th, a clipper system developing here by the afternoon and evening. We are going to see snowfall for the southern Rockies and the northern Rockies, all throughout the Rockies actually. A lot of regions, again, getting 3 to 6 inches and even 6 to 10 in some areas. We do have our clipper system developing there, though, for Montana and North Dakota, where you can see that very widespread light to moderate snow. That's very characteristic of a clipper system, not really seeing too heavy of snow, but a lot of lighter snow. Now, as we head later into the evening, you can see that clipper system is moving further east as we see North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and more of eastern Montana being impacted by it by this point. There is going to be a pretty good band of moderate snowfall somewhere in there, and that's going to be a region that we expect to potentially see over 6 inches and maybe see a 6 to 10 inch region set up. But likely we'll have a pretty widespread region of 3 to 6 inches at least. But for the Rockies, we still see snow falling. Again, 6 to 10 inches, not too far-fetched with this one. As we head towards later in the night, Sunday into Monday here, going to be going on December 9th, we see our Rockies are kind of calming down. We do still see snow falling there for Colorado and Wyoming, but for Montana and Idaho, it's pretty much all said and done. We see that clipper system developing even further. Right now, the heaviest of the snow is located right there on the borders of the two Dakotas, and then into Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin are starting to get snowfall as well with this system. Now, we're about to move on where we're going to start to see some of the Great Lakes, including Michigan and Wisconsin, start to get involved with some of that moderate snowfall where we could potentially see over 6 inches of snow for some of those regions. All right, so this is by Monday morning time, maybe very early morning time. There, we see the snow is really dissipating for the Rockies by this point, so it's pretty much done for those regions, but we do see our clipper system developing even further. Also, take notice that there is plenty of cold air behind this one. A lot of times we'll see a clipper come down and then really have a ton of cold air behind it, very potent cold air. So it is usually in the beginning of a trough that is digging down into the United States. We do see that moderate snowfall now located in Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, as well as the upper peninsula of Michigan might get a lot of that moderate to heavy snowfall as well. Very, very light snowfall is occurring for all of the surrounding states, though, really. Iowa, the Dakotas, Nebraska, the upper peninsula of Michigan as well. We're all seeing pretty light snowfall, but there is going to be a pretty good area of moderate snow within that as well that looks to set up according to most of the models. Now, as we head towards Monday afternoon/evening, December 9th, we do see that moderate to heavy snowfall. It's really becoming more moderate, though, by this point. It is located mostly for northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan, with light snowfall still occurring for Iowa and Minnesota. But again, that trough is digging even deeper right behind it, which is going to be the beginning of a pretty big cool down there for most of the central and eastern United States. We do see a pretty big rainstorm east of this trough, though. So for a lot of the East Coast, northeastern United States, and some of those Great Lakes regions as well, going to be dealing with quite a bit of rain from this one. Now we're about to move on and take a look at the last little bit of this storm and then finally get into our official snowfall forecast for this storm as well, which is going to be super exciting to take a look at. So as you can see, we have light snow still occurring there for some of the upper peninsula and Wisconsin, and maybe a little bit of Illinois getting some snowfall as well from this one, but really Michigan is the bullseye for this storm at this point. We have the storm intensifying a 997 millibar low pressure system, so it's not out of the question that this one could be a little bit more major than what we're thinking right now, but I'm pretty much certain that the bullseye is going to be 6 to 10 with this storm, but we could potentially get 10 to 15 inches from this one in some regions, which would require an update, but I'm really doubtful that that will happen at this point, as this is just a basic clipper system, and typically we won't exceed 10 inches in a storm of this type. So I'm not really expecting that to happen whatsoever right now. Now we are going to move on a frame towards the end of this storm, and you can see we do have some snow showers still around for Michigan, but not much else besides that. Mostly Canada getting a lot of snowfall by this point as that storm continues to intensify up there for those regions. We do see some snow showers re-entering the areas of Montana, Wyoming, and South Dakota. I don't think that'll become much of anything, but we might be talking about another clipper system that comes in behind this one, in which case I would go ahead and make a video for it. Don't even worry. Now let's take a look at some of those models snowfall forecasts real quick before we take a look at our official snowfall forecast, which you should, as always, take a look at the end of the video. Here's the GFS's total snowfall forecast. You can see the Rockies getting tons of snow there. Some local amounts of 10 inches plus, but I really feel like we're going to have many areas of maybe 6 to 10 inches there for the southern Rockies, somewhere in between there in Idaho and Wyoming, and then up there for portions of Montana as well. And then potentially scattered throughout that Clipper region, which is going to be eastern Montana through into the northern regions of Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan there. You can see that little strip of snow that comes down for the Midwest there. I think that there is the potential for some 6 to 10 inch regions to set up there, which I will talk more about in my official snowfall forecast. Real quickly, let's take a look at what the Canadian model showed as well. Pretty similar, except you can see up there for northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula, we do see a pretty good area of 6 to 10 inches there, indicated by the pink regions, and I actually think that that is a really good chance to be the biggest bullseye area, at least that's associated with the Clipper system. So that I also take into account in my official snowfall forecast. Now let's get into my official snowfall forecast. It's going to be super exciting to see how much snowfall you could expect for certain regions, and I can't wait to show it to you guys. Alright, so as you can see, we have nothing on the map, but let's go ahead and add our dusting to 3-inch layer here. As you can see, it's pretty widespread. All of the Rockies at least getting a dusting to 3 inches just to the west of Denver. Denver, I'm not expecting too much snowfall. You might see some flakes, but really not expecting too much accumulation. Salt Lake City, we're involved with this one. All of Montana, all of North Dakota, a lot of South Dakota, and then through Minnesota, including Minneapolis, and then into Wisconsin and some of the upper peninsulas of Michigan. Let's go ahead and add our 3 to 6 inch layer here. And you can clearly see what is associated with the Rocky Mountains, which is going to be kind of a high elevation event. And then you can see where our Clipper system is. Let's start with the Rockies, though. We see portions of Idaho, Montana, Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado all expecting to get 3 to 6 inches in this lighter shade of blue there. And then we see our Clipper system there for eastern Montana through North Dakota, a little tiny bit of South Dakota, but mostly a sliver there through Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan. All of these light blue regions are expected to receive 3 to 6 inches from this event. I just wanted to mention, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the snowfall map is from the 8th through the 10th. This is all the snowfall that will occur within that time frame. Let's add our final layer here, which is our 6 to 10 inch layer. And again, I don't really expect to have to go into the 10 to 15 inch layer for this one. So this is probably the final forecast. We do see some of those higher elevation regions in the Rockies expected to get 6 to 10 inches there for Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and a little bit of New Mexico as well. But within our Clipper system, there is multiple regions that could potentially exceed this, scattered throughout that 3 to 6 inch layer. So don't be surprised if you exceed 6 inches in a few of those regions. But I expect the highest chance for that to happen to be in northern Wisconsin, a little bit of Minnesota there near the Wisconsin border, and then the upper peninsula closer to the Wisconsin border as well. I think that area looks to be the most impacted by the Clipper system. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to share it with friends and family if they do live in these regions that are expected to get impacted, and I'll see you guys in the next video.